Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of my Let's Play A Perfect Final Fantasy VII. So, where we left off, we were just leaving Costa del Sol, and we're going to be heading up. You can see here that I did make a little bit of some party configuration changes with PHS. Brought Yuffie with us for now. So we're going to be heading up through the mountainside, so we're going to go to what's called Mount Corel. And so there's a lot of different enemies and stuff we'll encounter here that I'll kind of give you guys the rundown on. So this guy is called a Grangalan. He's basically like one of those Russian dolls that has a bunch of miniature versions of itself inside. If you take out the main piece though, all of the lesser guys will also go down. Otherwise he'll start spitting out like extra rows of enemies, which is kind of annoying. Nothing a couple limit breaks can't deal with right now. And so, I did forget to show you something, so I'll pan the camera over here and show you that kind of tealish or seafoam green section of the river there. We'll be able to traverse that later, but we can't at the moment, so for now we're going to have to head up this mountainside and towards Mount Corel. So there are a few other enemies. There's different things like a Cockatilus, Needle Kiss, Beach Plugs, things that you can encounter here. Nothing too crazy though, and I'll kind of cover those as we move through the random encounters here. So here's another one of those Russian doll fellas. We'll just take him out. Those guys drop high potions, no weaknesses or anything like that. Now this little mountainside here we're going to have to head into, this is Mount Corel. And as we come up this mountainside we'll have to talk to this old man. So he lets us know that a man in a black cape passed by. This area is always a little nostalgic for me. I had like the demo disc on PC for this game too, and I remember coming up this mountainside. Now the enemies here, we have three different. The bird is going to be called what's called a Needle Kiss. They drop a bolt plume, which is a really cool damaging item. There's also, they're weak to wind, although they negate lightning entirely, and you can steal softs from them. The little mushroom head guy, his name's a Crown. He drops high potions, he's resistant to fire, and you can actually steal a turbo ether from them, which is a great item. So I recommend stealing a couple. You don't need to though. We can move on. And then the green dinosaur fella, he's got kind of a weird name. It's like Bagnadrana. They drop a high potion, they're weak to ice, and they resist fire. And you can steal that diamond pin from them, which is that weapon for Red 13. So if you didn't buy it at Junon, make sure you steal it from this guy. Otherwise, you don't really need to. But it sells decently, so if you want to, you can. So throughout this whole Mount Corel section too, Matra Magic is going to do work. So if you want to help get characters limit breaks, I suggest using it. It's going to take out all the little 5-man groups that you'll come across and whatnot too. So it's really helpful. And again, you'll see like, here's a section of these Needle Kiss enemies. We'll just take them all out with Matra Magic. Call it a day. So on this next screen, it looks like there should be more to this than there really is, but we're just going to run past this reactor and head straight down. And here as well, we're just going to cross this bridge. Now, that we're on this like what looks like a roller coaster track section, I highly recommend you make a save here, because we're going to do some small little mini game stuff. Basically, the tracks are going to break as we run over them, and the game's going to tell you, hey, if you press select, you can jump out of this, but you actually want to fall on purpose. And then while falling, you're going to want to hold left. So first we're going to go up. We're not going to touch anything. We're going to hold left on the D-pad and mash the A button as hard as we can. And we're going to drift ourselves over to the left. And then we'll end up on the left-hand side here, and we'll get to pick up this wizard staff, which is an item for Eris. And then we'll continue here for now. So here's one of the Coctyluses. They drop softs, and you can steal softs, but they don't really have any weaknesses or anything either. The thing to note here, though, is that they use a move called Petrify Smog, which puts a petrify timer on your character, so after 30 seconds, your character gets petrified. So the only way to free them is to use a soft, otherwise that character is not going to get any experience out of the battle or anything. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. You can either just knock them out quickly, which isn't hard to do, or you can wait and use a soft on the character. So here we'll pick up the W machine gun, which is an item for Barrett, and then we'll head down the tracks, and we're going to come across another one of those sections where it asks us to jump over the hole or not. Intentionally fall, this time holding to the right and mashing the A button. This is going to get us the star pendant, which was the other item that we saw as we were climbing up. So now that we've collected both items, the next time we come across this falling mechanic, we can actually just ignore it and skip over it if we wanted to. But make sure you pick up the turbo ether, and here's the third and final falling. I'm actually going to show it to you guys just so that you see that, you know, there's no other items here for you to worry about. You basically get 3 chances to get those 2 items, and those items are the same across all 3 falls. So we've already collected them, there's nothing to get or miss here. And we'll pick up this transform materia, which is a very different materia than the others. It basically allows us to mini enemies, and then later we can toad them. So it's actually a pretty good materia. We'll use it later for a few things, but for now, we can just level it up a little bit if we want. And here's another fork in the road. We're going to go up as soon as we get out of this battle and take the high road the first time. So here's the fork. Make sure you go up the first time through. We're going to cross this bridge, and so we can lower that bridge for the other guys. And then we'll head back that way too in just a moment. So once you get over here, come into this little cabin, and we're going to hit this lever, which is going to drop the bridge for the rest of our team. And then we're going to head... If you come over here towards the screen a little bit, and you can actually hear some chocobos chirping, you can climb up this wall side. If you do this, when you come up here to the top, you'll see a weird little scenario where there's some chocobo chicks and they have treasure around them, and you have the dialogue choice between taking the treasure or not. It doesn't hurt the chocobo chicks to take the treasure. If the treasure is 10 Phoenix Downs, but if you do take it, you will encounter like a small mini boss battle with Mama Chocobo, or Mama Coctylus, I guess is what it should be called, because it's not fully a chocobo. So we take the treasure. It's a perfect game, so we're going to have to fight Mama. So we'll just hit her with everything we got. And so you can see that little petrify timer over Cloud's head and how that operates. So this should take her out though. Yeah. So we got our 10 Phoenix Downs. So now we're going to need to head all the way back across the bridge, down the bottom part of the fork in the road, across the bridge, to meet up with the rest of everybody. So now once you cross this bridge, we're going to take the lower, like, bottom left side here. There's actually a really tiny little hidden cave over here that has a few items in it for us. And obviously these are the ideal, like, Matra Magic encounters where, you know, one person's going to just destroy the whole wave of enemies. So we'll head into this little cave, and we're going to pick up a few goodies. So there's a tent, mine source, and a power source. And then now we can head down the right-hand section of these tracks. And we're going to come up to a very large bridge. Now this bridge has only really one encounter on it, which is the bomb enemy. The bomb, you can steal an item from him called the right arm. It's a really, really good damaging item, and it comes in handy, so I do recommend stealing a couple of them. So I'll take the time here to steal at least like 3 right arms before I move on. Sometimes you get lucky, you run across this bridge, you might only encounter 1 bomb or something, but I sit here for a minute and gather those up. Now these bombs, funny enough, they're actually not weak to ice like they are in most other Final Fantasy games or anything like that. But they are resistant to fire, they're resistant to earth because they float, and they would drop a shrapnel if you don't steal the right arm from them, which is just like a weaker version of the right arm. So you have to be a little careful when you're fighting them, because basically what happens here is if you do enough damage to them and you don't kill them, they're going to hit one of your characters really hard like that. And then you don't get the EXP or AP for defeating them, although you still get that right arm item, of course. So what I'm going to do, guys, is make a cut here, and I will show you, I will be back as soon as I have just a couple right arms. So see you in just a minute. Alrighty, guys, so we're back. We have 3 right arms. We're now going to move forward into this area, which is called Mount Corel. So this is where we get to see a lot of character development on Barrett's character. And for somebody like Barrett to just get punched in the face and not say anything, I think it's pretty obvious that something serious is going on here. So in this town, we're going to come into this hut here in the bottom right. This is like one of the best well-hidden items of the game. You'll need to sneak past this woman to get to this pot, and you can actually get an ether from it. And then in this town there are a few little shops and whatnot, so nothing really crazy or good of value. But if you did get the HP plus materia from the send-off minigame for Rufus, here you can purchase the Force Stealer for Cloud, and actually, you know, if you did it that way, you would net a little bit of gil by doing so, as 2,200 is much cheaper than 8,000. So, you know, leave it up to you guys. Nobody would ever be able to tell if you did the mini game perfectly or not. You could just get the HP plus and then buy the Force Stealer here, whatever. So the game actually wants us to go to Gold Saucer next, but there is a moment here in which we can do a little optional stuff, so we are going to do that, of course. Although I will let you know, you could do this just a little bit later and save yourself the headache, but if you wanted to do it right now, I'll show you how to do it. It is kind of difficult, so I do recommend that you at least make a save. So what we're going to do is we're going to trek over to an optional area and encounter a very specific chocobo battle. So along the way we're going to see a few different new enemies, and I'll kind of cover them as we go. So these guys are called jokers, and I hate them, so run away from them. Now for real though, if you did want to fight them, they drop high potions, they're resistant to earth because they're floating, and they're weak to wind. But they have a move called Joker, which will one-hit KO your teammates, and it's completely random. So you can see we can't go into the desert area or anything, so we'll have to walk around the perimeter here. Now these fellas are called flat beats. They drop TS bombs, which are Demi 2 items, which are pretty sweet. They resist earth again because they're floating and they're weak to wind. So these guys are pretty cool. I like to take them out. Now a lot of the enemies in this area though are way higher than you should be. You can see we're taking almost 200 a hit from these things. So this section can be pretty dangerous. And even like Matra Magic doesn't dispatch them. So, you know, proceed with caution throughout this section. And so now that Tifa has basically run out of MP, we're going to swap her out for somebody a little bit stronger, like Red 13 or something. So, before I forget, I'm going to take the item off of her because she was holding the Protect Vest. And then we'll just quickly swap all the materia the easy way from Tifa to Red. There we go. So, we're actually going to give Red the Talisman, because, again, what we're going to do here is we're going to intentionally get hit with an enemy skill that's really strong. So this enemy skill that we're going to get hit with here is called Aqua Lung. So we're going to give both enemy skill materia to Red so that he can basically teach it to both of them at the same time. And then we're going to also use a tranquilizer on Red so that he takes less damage to just make sure that he survives the hit. Because this Aqua Lung ability hits real hard. So, and it hits the whole party. So kind of set up for it here. And then I'll make a cut shortly after, and I'll show you guys when we encounter that Chocobo battle with the enemy called Harpy. So you will need to have the Chocobo lure materia equipped to encounter this battle as well. So I'll make a cut here, guys, and I will see you in just a moment. Alrighty, so this is the encounter we were looking for with the Harpy enemy. So we don't really care about the Chocobo at all. We're just going to try to make sure that we survive until this guy decides to cast Aqua Lung and hit us really hard. So here we're just going to kind of do some defensive stuff. I'll probably use my Red 13 limit break here, just hitting the boss to soften him up. I did encounter one a little bit ago, and I hit it with Meteor Rain, and it just one-shot him, so it kind of threw me off. I wasn't ready for it, but... So here we'll just keep everybody nice and healthy, and be patient. And so here's Aqua Lung. It's kind of like Beta, but it's just like a water attack instead. Water moves are pretty rare up until this point. We don't even have one, so it's extremely handy to have. So we'll just retaliate there with Flamethrower and take him out. And so now we'll have Aqua Lung on both of our enemy skills, and we'll need to pick Yuffie back up. So now we're going to head back over to Mount Corel, and we'll make a final save before we head into the Gold Saucer area. I think there's one other enemy for me to show you guys, so if we get that battle along the way here, that'd be cool. So we're looking for, the other enemy is called a Spencer. They're like little, almost like dragonflies that are on the ground. They drop a Sahara Nut, which is a breeding item for the Chocobo. So that's always good to have. Oh yeah, and here, ooh. He cast Joker, which is the instant death attack, and it actually missed. So, even while you're just trying to run, they can just kill one of your party members. Super annoying. And so, yeah, here's actually the enemy we were looking for, the Spencers, the little like ground fishies. So what I want to do is kind of just like at least get one, just leave one alive so that we can guarantee steal one of those Sahara nuts from them. Because there is a chance for them to drop it, but I'd like to just guarantee one right now. So we'll just put everybody else in defense and let Cloud steal this item from him. Cool. So we got the Sahara nut. We'll take him out. And so there's a few things that we're going to do. Oh, actually they dropped another one too. There's actually a few things that we're going to do here. So I highly recommend that you guys just make a save, as you won't be able to save anymore before. Basically, once you get into Gold Saucer, it costs a special currency to save. So I highly recommend that you just do it now. And save yourself the headache. Plus there's a mini game that we'll kind of elaborate on that's rather difficult, so having a save outside of Gold Saucer is nice if you need to reset your game a few times. So I'm going to go ahead and make my save here, guys, and I will see you in the next episode. So thanks for watching.